Hi guys, it's Allie. Welcome to another Time Travel Tuesday where we combine tingles and nostalgia as decided by you. So, the winner of this week's Time Travel Tuesday is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So I will tell you what the top 5 were. The top 5. Coming in at number 5, we had Full House, which is very popular amongst you guys, I've noticed. Number 4 was Dragon Ball Z. Number 3, Star Wars. Number 2, Friends. And number 1, Harry Potter. These are some little wooden blocks that a friend of mine gave to my son, actually, for his birthday. And they're just little wooden block toys. These are the glasses and the lightning scar. I thought I'd show these to you. Okay, so I am admittedly a very, very big Harry Potter fan. Huge. I know some of you are not, and that's awesome. I still encourage you to watch the video because, again, kind of the same as my Zelda video, I'm going to try not to focus too much on telling you about the world and all of the, details that are within the story. I'm going to try and stay away from too much of that and actually share more behind the scenes facts as I've been doing. The kind of stuff that everyone would find interesting, not just big Harry Potter fans. So I really hope you stick around, even if you're not a big Potterhead, because I think that you'll learn something new. So, as you can see, there's something crazy going on right here, and that's because I thought I would try something a little bit different, trigger-wise, today. So, I'm going to brew you guys a potion. So, I hope you like that. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of play with all my potion ingredients here while I tell you some things you might not have known about Harry Potter. So, Harry Potter is, I have to decide which color I want to use. Harry Potter is a series of fantasy novels by the author J.K. Rowling. And Harry Potter tells the story of a young wizard named Harry Potter and his adventures with his friends Ron and Hermione. Now, Harry, Ron, and Hermione all attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And the novels tell the story of Harry's journey to defeat the dark wizard Lord Voldemort. Now, Lord Voldemort is a very bad wizard, and his goals mainly are to become immortal, first of all. And then he also wants to take over the wizarding world, wants to rule over everyone, and he wants to basically enslave all non-magical people, or muggles, because he considers them inferior. And of course, one of his biggest goals is to destroy Harry Potter. Now, the reason that he wants to destroy Harry, well, there are a number of reasons, and I won't share all of his reasons because I don't want to spoil you if you haven't read the books or seen the movies. But his primary reason, I guess you could say, is that his first attempt at murdering Harry was when Harry was a little baby. And he failed to kill Harry. But not only did he fail, his attempt actually resulted in his downfall. And he became too weak to carry on, and he disappeared. So, during the time of the books, he sort of returns to power and seeks to finish the job. So, the Harry Potter novels have been made into 8 films. It's an 8-part film series. And the Harry Potter film series is currently the highest grossing film series of all time. The last book in the series, book number 7, is the best-selling book in history to date. And it sold 11 million copies in the first 24 hours that it was released. The 5th book in the series, which is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Well, first of all, when books are printed in English, if you want them translated, if you want to purchase a copy that's translated into another language, say French, if you're not an English-speaking person, you usually have to wait a little bit longer than the English-speaking countries, because it takes a few months after the release of the book to get it fully translated. So, the 5th book, Order of the Phoenix, there was such a high demand for it that non-English speaking countries started ordering it in English because they just couldn't wait until it was translated into their language. As a result of that, Book 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, became the first English language book to top the bestseller list in France. Prior to Order of the Phoenix, I assume that all of the previous best-selling books had been in French. I think that's really interesting. So, I'm going to share with you some cool trivia now. So, in the film Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the character Gilderoy Lockhart, who's a professor, is portrayed by the actor Sir Kenneth Branagh. does a great job. He's a great actor. And he is just perfect for that part. But what you may not know is that for the next film, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Warner Brothers actually considered Sir Kenneth Branagh as the director. Now, they didn't choose him ultimately, or maybe he didn't want to be in the film, or direct the film, but they ended up going with Alfonso Cuarón. Now, Alfonso Cuarón had not read any of the books when he came on to direct, and he hadn't seen any of the films. I think that's very interesting. So when he came on, the actors who played Harry, Ron, and Hermione were asked by Cuarón to each write him an essay in first person about their characters. And hand it into him. Sort of their homework assignment from him when they met him. And so they were assigned essays. Emma Watson, who plays Hermione, very true to her character, she wrote a 16-page essay about Hermione. Daniel Radcliffe, who plays Harry Potter, wrote 1 page, which is, I'd say, pretty typical of Harry. And then Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley, never turned his paper in because he said that's what Ron would have done. In the story, there's a little village outside of Hogwarts where the students go to shop and hang out and have fun on the weekends sometimes. And there's a store in the village called Honeydukes. Is that right? Yeah, Honeydukes. Well, and that's what it's called, but I couldn't remember if it's in that village or if it's in Diagon Alley, but I think it's in Hogsmeade. Anyway, there's a shop called Honeydukes, and it's a candy store. And it's supposed to be amazing. So when they were filming the 3rd movie, Prisoner of Azkaban, they created a set for Honeydukes for the store filled with candy. All this wonderful candy. And the cast members were told that all of the candy on the set of the Honeydukes store was covered in like a lacquer, like it was fake, when in fact it was not. The candy was real and it was edible, and all of the cast members were told that it wasn't, so that they wouldn't eat all the candy on the set, and I think that's so cute. there are two characters in the story who, well, they're the driver and the conductor of a special bus called the night bus. And the night bus is a triple-decker sort of London bus that sort of magically appears to help transport witches and wizards who need transportation. So there are two people, Ernie Prang and Stan Shunpike, who are the driver and the conductor of the bus. But I think it's possibly a little known fact that Ernie and Stan are the names of J.K. Rowling's two grandfathers. And she named those characters after her grandfathers. There are some really nasty, awful creatures in the Harry Potter series called Dementors. And Dementors are just these awful kind of, they're not really even creatures, they're not alive, they're just entities, I guess, and they are terrible. They feed off of human happiness, and they can suck out your soul. And yeah, they're really bad. And basically the effect they have is that they, when they're near you, they drain all of your joy and your happiness and all of your happy thoughts and memories and make you feel as though you'll never be happy ever again. And J.K. Rowling has said that she based those creatures or entities off of the real life experience that she's had with clinical depression. And Dementors are sort of representative of that for her. Now, there are a few ways to sort of fight off a Dementor. I don't think you can really kill them, but you can sort of banish them. And one of the most common ways to get rid of a Dementor is with a Patronus charm. Patronus charm is just a spell that you cast that is the embodiment of joy and happiness. And it's difficult. It's supposed to be a very difficult spell. So anyway, only pure of heart wizards and witches can actually cast a Patronus. Dark wizards can't do it. And Lord Voldemort, obviously he's a very dark wizard, but he has followers called Death Eaters, who are also very dark wizards. And they can't produce Patronus charms, except for one. There's one Death Eater who can produce a Patronus charm, and I will not tell you who it is, but I'm pretty confident that many of you already know who. I think it's neat that he's the only one who could do it. So, before the books were published, before even the first book was published, the publishers came to J.K. Rowling and they said, it's pretty likely that these books are going to be popular among boys, young boys. Not just young boys, but that is one of your target audiences. So, we don't think it's very likely that your book will sell very well among that demographic if the boys see that it was written by a woman. And I don't think they were trying to be horrible or sexist. I just think that they were, telling it like they saw it. And the sad truth is that they were probably right to some degree. So J.K. Rowling, instead of publishing under the name Joanne Rowling, added an initial to her name that was not there, because she actually has no middle name. So she took on K for Kathleen, which is her grandmother's first name, and began publishing the Harry Potter books as J.K. Rowling. I think that's interesting. So, there's been a lot of religious controversy surrounding the books, which most of you probably know about. And I won't really go into that because there's been some legal controversy that I think was more interesting. So in the series, there's a famous wizard band called the Weird Sisters. And in the fourth film, the fourth book, first, there's a school ball, school dance, where the Weird Sisters come to perform for all the students. And they wanted to have the band play in the film during this scene. But there was an issue because in Canada there is a folk band by the name of the Weird Sisters, but it's spelled differently. It's spelled with a Y, I think. And they, I guess, own the rights to that name. So Warner Brothers came to this band and offered them a lot of money for the use of their name, basically, in the fourth film. Not only did the band turn down the money, they actually tried to take legal action against Warner Brothers. And so Warner Brothers said, it's not worth it. We don't need to use the name. No big deal. So they dropped any plans they had to use the name. But the band, I guess, wasn't satisfied with that, so they pushed even harder and actually filed a $40 million lawsuit against Warner Brothers and even tried to prevent the release of that film in Canada. This pissed some people off big time. And rightly so. Honestly, it sounds just like people trying to capitalize on an opportunity. Because, Warner Brothers backed off. They said they wouldn't use it, but they still pushed. And it did not work out very well for them. Because the judge actually ruled that the band pay Warner Brothers $140,000 in legal fees. And he said that their lawsuit was highly invasive. And it was, I think. Now, what's not very nice is that that band started receiving death threats from some very dedicated fans. And I know some of those people were probably you. I have to tell you that violence is not the answer, guys. A flaming bag of dog crap on their doorstep would have been just fine. But no death threats. So, some members of the band in the film were actually going to be played by Johnny Greenwood and Phil Selway of Radiohead, for all you Radiohead fans out there. So, and they did play the band in the film. The band just never gets named in the film. They're sort of introduced as the band that needs no introduction. And that's even in a deleted scene, I believe. In the film, the band doesn't even get very much on-screen time at all. Okay, it's time to add some magic here. So, before book number 4, Goblet of Fire, J.K. Rowling realized that some fans were having trouble pronouncing Hermione's name because they'd never heard it spoken. They were just reading it. So she added into the books, or into book 4, a scene in which one of the characters, who I believe is Bulgarian, she added a scene where Hermione, has to teach him how to pronounce her name so that young readers could familiarize themselves with the pronunciation. This is interesting. In the book Order of the Phoenix, there is a pretty major death of a character, and I won't tell you who. Many of you know. But, interestingly, originally, J.K. Rowling had not intended to kill that character. She intended to kill Mr. Weasley instead. But she swapped Mr. Weasley for the character who ultimately was killed. And I bet if you're a big fan of the books and you didn't know that fact, you're really mad right now. But she had good reason. there's a character in book 4, I believe. Book 4? I'm not positive. Possibly book 4. Who you see very briefly. Named Natalie MacDonald. Natalie is just a young girl who attends Hogwarts and who gets sorted into Gryffindor. But in real life, Natalie MacDonald was a little girl who lived in Canada, about 9 years old, who was dying of leukemia. A family friend of Natalie's, or Natalie's mother, wrote to J.K. Rowling asking her to please write to Natalie, because Natalie was such a big fan of the books and she didn't have very long to live, and she just wanted to know the end of the story. J.K. Rowling didn't get the message until after a holiday of some kind, and even though she was a little bit worried that it might have been too late, she wrote her back. And she wrote to Natalie and she told her everything that happened to all of the main characters. She found out that she'd been late by about a day or so, and Natalie had already passed away. As a tribute, she wrote Natalie MacDonald into the book. And Natalie MacDonald was the only real-life character. And I always thought that was a really beautiful story. So, for me personally, and for a lot of people, I guess my age, Harry Potter was an incredibly special experience because yes, I was a fan of the books, but even more than that, by luck or whatever, I happened to be just the right age for the release of pretty much each new book to coincide with my age. And what I mean by that is when book 5 was released, I was 15, the same age as Harry. Book 6, I was about 16, same age as Harry. In book 7, I was 17, same age as Harry. So I had the marvelously unique experience of actually growing up with Harry Potter. And there was just something so special about that. And the books have impacted all ages of people, not just people my age who had that particular experience. But for me, I'm really grateful that my favorite books of all time, my favorite story of all time, was something that I could experience as I grew. Because even though Harry is not like the rest of us, even though he's a wizard, he was still a person, and he was still a young person, and he still had all the same trials and tribulations as anyone, really. And that made him relatable and made him very dear to many of us. So, getting to grow up with Harry and Ron and Hermione is something that I don't think I'll ever be able to recreate, and it's something that can never be replaced. It really was completely magical. Well, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this Time Travel Tuesday. And I hope you have learned some interesting facts about the wonderful world of Harry Potter. I'll be seeing you guys again very soon. But until then, sweet dreams, time travel.